There are a lot of things that are fantastic about playing Dynasty Fantasy Football, but trading is one of the best. Anytime you pull off a trade where you feel like you really fleeced your opponent or you got somebody you've been really trying to get, it's a great feeling. So I'm going to talk about some players today that I'm trading away who people may think, why is he trading this guy? He's so good. But maybe there are some underlying issues people don't realize, and now is the time to get out while you can. All right, real quick before I get into the names, I need to remind you about flockfantasy.com/endgame, where you can get access to our Building Dynasties course. These are 2 courses, one for startup drafts, one for rookie drafts. They're going to teach you everything you need to know to crush both of those drafts. If you're new to Dynasty, if you've been thinking about playing Dynasty football, you have to check it out. Plus, a couple more spots left in our endgame Building Dynasties Dynasty League. $100 to first place, $50 to second place. Endgame shirts for everybody, and you get access to it automatically by becoming a member at flockfantasy.com/endgame. 30% off any subscription, access to our courses, access to our leagues, plus many more benefits you can see right here on the screen. Check it out, flockfantasy.com/endgame. All right, I promised some big names on this list. Let's start with a banger, and it's Travis Etienne. I would be looking to trade Travis Etienne anywhere I have him right now. I don't have Travis Etienne anywhere, but if I did, I would be looking to trade him. Here's the thing about Travis Etienne. We think, oh, he's a good pass catching back. Well, we might think that. The Jaguars don't agree. Look at last year. He ranked 31st among all running backs in target share. He ranked 15th among all running backs in routes run and 27th in route participation. Basically, the Jaguars do not think he's a good pass catching running back. And you can see it last year. I mean, they had JaMychal Hasty out there in the pass-catching role. They had all these random guys in the pass-catching role, not Travis Etienne. Also, they don't view him as a goal line back. Sure, he had 10 carries inside the 5-yard line, which actually was a pretty good number, but that's because the Jaguars had so many attempts inside the 5-yard line last year. He only got 43.5% of his team's carries inside the 5-yard line. There was many times I remember the Jaguars would get down there and they would pull him out. So he's on a team that doesn't consider him a pass catching back or a goal line back. Now he is still a very good running back. He's very efficient. He can rip off those long runs. But what did the Jaguars just do in the NFL draft here? They used a 3rd round pick on Tank Bigsby, who's a bigger back, who could be that goal line back, who could also handle some of the early down work. And Doug Peterson has always talked about not wanting to rely on one guy. Last year he pretty much had to because James Robinson was terrible, and JaMychal Hasty is pretty much just a pass-catching running back. But now he's got a running back he can depend on early downs. He's got a running back he can use at the goal line. So if Travis Etienne isn't going to catch a lot of passes, is going to lose at least some early down work to Tank Bigsby, and is probably going to lose some goal line work to Tank Bigsby, then what is his value really? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because it's still sky high. Look at some of these trades. So these are recent trades that have been made after the draft when people knew they had Tank Bigsby. Travis Etienne for the 111, 114, 211, 401. I would gamble on all of those picks. How about Travis Etienne in a second for Hawkinson, a 1st, and a 4th? Again, I think a 1st alone is good enough for Etienne, but then you're going to give me Hawkinson as well. I'm taking that all day. Or how about this one? Etienne for Dameon Pierce and Tony Pollard. Dameon Pierce looks like the big winner of the NFL draft. No competition there. And Tony Pollard too. No competition. I'd rather have those 2 running backs. And then like I said, Travis Etienne, a 2023 first. Just give me the 1st where I can pick a young wide receiver or a young running back where I don't have to worry about the situation. So Travis Etienne, now is the time to get out before people realize he's not a workhorse, he's not a pass catcher, and he's not going to score a ton of touchdowns. All right, let's move on to a big name wide receiver who I was really banging the drum for last year, and that is Michael Pittman. And I still think Michael Pittman is a good player, but I'm starting to worry he's going to be a Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore type. And what I mean by that is he's going to be one of these guys we always talk about, man, the talent is there. If you could just get in the right situation, just get a quarterback or whatever. And now you can say, well, they drafted Anthony Richardson. I don't think that's necessarily good for him this year. Maybe long term, but not this year. And when you look at Michael Pittman, he's going to be turning 26 in October. So if we consider this year is a transition year where Anthony Richardson, develops as a passer and it's another down year for Michael Pittman, you're now banking on a 27-year-old Michael Pittman finally realizing his potential. That is a tough bet to make on a 27-year-old wide receiver. And when you look at his usage last year, it's like, on the one hand, it was really good. 141 targets, 11th in the league. 25.6 target share, 17th in the league. That's great. But then what were those targets? Well, 974 air yards, 38th. 27.3 air yard share, 39th. 6.9 ADOT, 92nd. So all that he's getting are these little dinky, dunky throws. We're sure he had 99 catches, but he didn't even have 1,000 yards on the season with 99 catches. And I think we see something similar to that again this year because Anthony Richardson definitely has accuracy issues. Sure, he's got the arm strength, but can he get the ball down the field on target? I don't know. I do like AR long term, but I think this year is going to be a developmental year for him. So I could see this being another down year for Pittman, but people still value him very highly in Dynasty. So here you can see some recent trades where somebody got a 2023 first. Just give me one of the wide receivers in this class in the first round over Pittman. I'll take the age discount and the potential upside. Or how about Pittman and a third for Jerry Jeudy? Jerry Jeudy at least showed a little bit towards the end of the last season. He's still very young, still on his rookie deal. We still haven't seen the best of Jerry Jeudy. Or how about Pittman and a first for the 1.03 in a super flex league? That means you're getting one of these stud quarterbacks. That's worth way more than Pittman and a future first. So Pittman still commands great value. I think now is the time to move him while people still think very highly of him before he has another down year. All right, let's move to another big name at tight end, and I got George Kittle. I'm trying to get rid of George Kittle if I have him. I think people are way too high on George Kittle, and I also don't think people realize how old he actually is. He's going to be 30 years old in October, and while 30 is not necessarily the kiss of death at tight end, you have to start worrying about a decline. And I know the big selling point on George Kittle right now for people is Brock Purdy. They say, oh, with Brock Purdy last year, he was a monster. I'm not sure that's really true. Let's take a look here. So Brock Purdy started playing here in week 12, and you can see his game logs. He had 5.6, 4.2, and 6.8 in his first 3 games of Brock Purdy. That is hardly a monster. Then, of course, he finished 25.3, 30, 12.3. That's good. 18.9. But what did we see over those last 4 games? He had 7 touchdowns. He had 2 touchdowns in 3 of those 4 games and 1 touchdown in the other. That is not sustainable. And even if you believe in Brock Purdy, George Kittle connection, Brock Purdy's coming off a major elbow injury. We don't know when he's going to be ready, and we don't even know how good or how effective he's going to be when he is ready. So 30-year-old George Kittle with all the risks at quarterback, and for a guy who really was not as good as people remember because he was so good in the fantasy playoffs, I think now's the time to sell. And looking at some of these trades just shows exactly what I mean. Here you can move George Kittle for a younger tight end and a first. I will gladly take one of these rookies over George Kittle. Or how about here, Kadarius Toney and George Kittle, which, look, I kind of like Kadarius Toney. He's got potential, but also very risky. You get Chris Olave and Brandon Ayuk back, 2 very good young wide receivers. I will take that all day. Or even better here, George Kittle for a first this year and a future fourth. Also a done deal for me. So George Kittle still has a ton of value in Dynasty, but people don't realize he's not really as productive as they think, and he's a lot older than people think. And then finally, the biggest name of all names, I got to talk about Saquon Barkley. Look, I have Saquon Barkley in our Endgame Dynasty League. He took me to the championship last year, which I lost to Pierre, but that's because I didn't have Jalen Hurts. I had to start Gardner Minshew. But anyways, that's another story. And look, Saquon Barkley was awesome last year, and Saquon Barkley's been awesome anytime he's been healthy, and he's still barely 26 years old, so it's not like you have to be overly concerned with his age and the wear and tear. But he does have an injury history. He does have a lot of touches. He is coming off a season with a massive amount of touches. But here's what really worries me. If you watched our free agency predictions video way back at the beginning of the offseason, I predicted the Giants would, 1, franchise tag Saquon Barkley, and 2, he would hold out. That's exactly where we're at right now. Saquon Barkley has made it clear he is not going to sign his franchise tender, and everything we were hearing is that the Giants and his people are very far apart on a deal. Maybe a deal will get worked out, but I really doubt it. They just paid a ton of money to Daniel Jones. So there's a definite chance Barkley holds out at least early in the season, if not the entire season. Now, I don't think it's a good idea for him to hold out, but look, Barkley knows this might be his last chance to really get paid. Running back careers can end at any moment, and I think Saquon Barkley knows this and he wants to get paid. But even if he does play this year, there's always the risk that coming off a season with so many touches last year that he's not as efficient, that he's not as good, and that he suffers another injury. And right now, he's at peak value, at least in terms of the last few years for Saquon Barkley. And that's proven by some of the trades right here. How about Saquon Barkley for 2 firsts this year? I mean, I wish if somebody in the Endgame Dynasty League is watching this and wants to give me 2 firsts for Saquon Barkley, send it right now. I'm going to click accept. He is yours. 100% yours. Or how about Saquon Barkley and a second for Deshaun Watson and a second in a Superflex League? Give me Deshaun Watson. It's Superflex. The quarterback is much more valuable than the running back, especially a 26-year-old running back versus a 26-year-old quarterback. Definitely give me the quarterback there. Again, Saquon Barkley 2 firsts. Now, granted, 1 is next year, but I don't care. Look, if you're in the Endgame Dynasty League, give me a 23 and a 24 first. Saquon Barkley is yours. You can have him. Or Saquon for JSN. I will gladly take the number 1 wide receiver in this class who's very young over Saquon Barkley. Get out while you can. All right, so those are some players I'm secretly trading away, but who are some rookies I'm secretly drafting in all of my leagues? Check out this video right here to find out.